Okay, habitual a line crosser. Uh, renting a fence. Weird money grab, but hey, if it works, but pretty shitty thing to do. All right, here's a solution to that. Ultimately, when it comes down to going on base, I don't know if you knew, but technically, alterations, so long as temporary alterations, are not prohibited. All right. But in order to be able to get authorization, first thing you want to do is go through chain of command. All right. Obviously, the higher up you end up going is better, and obviously something this stupid. Ultimately, it's like, why the hell does this deserve my attention? Why did this fall on my desk? You already know the usual questioning, and it's just literally a matter of like, no, just wanted to go ahead and bring the buffoonery to your attention. All right. How the situation gets handled, it's got kind of out of a lot of people's hands, you know? But ultimately, we could go ahead and see how stupid shit could get, if just basically sit back and let the idiots argue it out. Find out, we'll find. But anyway, when it comes down to actual process and procedure, you're going to go ahead and depends on which state that your actual base is located in. You're going to go to the capital of said state. All right. Your reason why you're doing that is because you want to go. You're gonna want to go to the state records. All right. So you're gonna want to, like, for example, register of deeds. You know, basically the archive for said state that ends up going ahead and holding the blueprints and schematics for any approved of zoning, you know, orders, as well as, surveys. You're going to want to obviously go with the most current, but ultimately you're going to want to get the actual blueprints to said property. You're going to also want to go ahead and get the, ley line blueprints to go ahead and be able to set markers. All right. Understand what those markers. Reason why you're going to want to spray paint orange. Obviously, you already know about the luminescent indicator. All right. You're obviously going to want to avoid anywhere close. All right. To be safe, I would usually suggest at least, if I remember correctly, it's at least 6 feet. 6 feet from the ley line to go ahead and actually be able to dig without actually being running afoul of, you know, zoning permits and everything. And remember, ultimately, when it comes to surveyors, you know, their survey needs to be absolutely accurate in order to actually go ahead and get submitted and, be able to be saved, in the register of deeds and, archive for schematics. All right. So you're going to want to get the zone, like I said, ley line blueprints, as well as the actual, blueprints for the actual house. You're going to want to make sure, with the accuracy of splitting a hair, all right, you are going to want to make 1,000,000% sure that you're going to avoid a property dispute. All right. Whatever the line is for, the actual, the ownership layout, as far as the piece that's owned, ultimately, understand it's better to be safe than sorry. It's you know, ounce of preparation's worth a pound of cure, that type of situation. Well, you're going to want to go and try to make sure that give at least, let's say, 10 inches. All right. I know you're thinking 10 inches all the way around my property. I know the whole better safe than sorry thing, but at the same time, it feels like I'm giving my neighbors a hell of a lot of land, you know? But literally, the alternative is, hey, if you're making sure that you go ahead and follow those standards and everything, and you give that courtesy, you could go ahead and avoid hundreds and thousands of dollars of fucking legal fees, years worth of fucking legal battles that ultimately anyone and everyone's going to want to get into because, ultimately some people end up minimizing it as a property dispute. Well, other people want to go ahead and, since it's a small community want to go ahead and blow it up like, Mad Max just went and got to the fucking Thunderdome. So, it depends on how bored everyone is, apparently. Determining factor. But anyway, if you go ahead and do that, you should avoid any problems. If you have anybody wanting to argue the factor of the placing of your fence and everything, at that point, for not wanting to be a prick and taking your word for it that you're not being disingenuous, let them go ahead and test their hypothesis at their earliest convenience. All right? When they go to do that and go to court, go ahead and reveal that you actually gave them a few extra inches of your land. You knew you were doing it, but it was a compromise to go ahead and attempt on saving on a whole bunch of legal fees and a whole bunch of hoopla when it comes to the bureaucratic process and having to jump through the decathlon of red tape. Is this usual protocol? No. Is it courteous? More than courteous. More than this deserved. Because if your neighbor is going to go ahead and complain, to have to find out by going ahead and dragging it to court, hey, I was nice and I gave you a few extra inches of land. Well, at the same time, going ahead and respecting every zoning ordinance required to go ahead and install a fucking fence myself. And at that point, just look at the judge and ask, can you tell me what they have to complain about? Like, I'm trying to find the source of their outrage. And I know they didn't know that I gave them a few extra inches, But at the same time, hey, neighborly. Not to mention that, but I don't know how long I'm going to live here because I could end up going ahead and getting restationed at any given time, based on, prior skills gained and criteria, ending up to be met. So, tell me too. I want you to go ahead and put yourself down, in my shoes 10 years down the road. What difference is that going to make to me then? Well, simultaneously wasting my time by going ahead and having me drugged down here. And had me drugged down here because of the fact that a neighbor wanted to complain that I gave more than being courteous. If anything, I mean, hell, if a neighbor comes in and says, hey, I'm going to give you a tiny piece of land. I don't know what the zoning ordinance were and the process of all the malicious compliance and all that, but I am literally giving you so much extra land that by diameter, if you were to go ahead and take the wheel of a car, cut it in half, that's how much of a space that there is between the actual land and my property and where I put the fence. And I understand putting the fence a little bit back goes and means that anything that is on their side of the fence is their property. But, my question is, if I did something wrong, if I did something illegal, if I did something unconscionable, which, by the way, doing that, I thought I was doing a good thing. Is the next person going to think so? I don't know. I don't know how petty and spiteful they are. But, yeah, if you can go ahead and justify why this is a productive use of my time, I'll wait for further instruction. And at that point, you watch the judge get absolutely fucking pissed off at the person that while you wanted to give a few inches, not even an inch, give a few inches, wanted to take the whole fucking plot of land.